Hi guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to access a peer review that your professor may have assigned you. So one area that you can look for it in is on the far right of your screen, right here where it says to do. Sometimes it'll pop up and it has this little person icon right here and it says peer review for whatever the assignment is. So you can click on that and access it that way. In the case that it is not in your to-do list, if you go back to your dashboard for Canvas, you click on these three little dots for the More button, and then the third option down should say Recent Activity. So if you click that, down at the very bottom, it should say Peer Review, and it should tell you how many that you have. So I'm going to click on Show More, and it shows me whose I am going to be doing. So you can also click it from there. Alright, so as for whenever you're actually accessing this peer review, in order to see the paper, if you click View Feedback, it'll pop up with a paper. So you can move this little window around. You can even click and drag this to expand it. Or if you need to see it a little bit better, you can always put it in full screen mode by clicking these two little arrows right here. So this is a little sample paper that we have right here. You can peruse over what they've written. It's really cool with this is that you can directly annotate on their paper by, if you click like this little point annotation button, say I want to say something after their third sentence. You just tap right there and you can leave a comment about whatever it is you would like. You can even change the colors. You want to color code something. You can also directly highlight words. You click the highlighter up here. You can click and drag any specific portion. And once again, you can change the color and you can add a comment by clicking this little speech bubble right here. And then lastly, there's another way to directly annotate on the paper, which is with this little free text annotation button. You can directly write on the paper. You can even change the size, the color, and if it has a background. So if I were to just type in something, you can make it big, you can make it small, you can change the color, or you could add a background just in case. That way it'll cover up anything behind it if you really want it to pop out. And say if you didn't want this, there should be like an eraser button or something. We should be able to tap on it, and then above it has a little trash can icon, and you can delete it that way. Alrighty. There are two other ways you can free draw with your stylus or your mouse if you'd like, and you can even strike out certain areas. So if you were to edit a specific area, you can. As for the other areas where you can leave comments, is on the far right of the screen. You can leave like a general comment. This is where I tend to write any overall suggestions that I might have, or kind of like a summary of my peer review right here. If your professor tells you to leave a comment in this section, then by all means, please do. And if you click up here where it says Show Rubric, it'll show you what the directions are. So it has the entire prompt or the rubric that your professor may have uploaded for this assignment. And you can view the criteria by clicking the View Longer Description. And you can see, okay, there are going to be 3 scholarly sources used. It's an introduction to the service, an explanation of major themes, and so on. And so you can kind of weigh in how the paper that you are reading is fitting in with the criteria for the rubric of this specific paper. And here is where you can leave some comments on that, on how it fills in this criteria, whether you felt like it did hit the mark or not, or if it still needs to be worked on. And at the very bottom, you'll see that it says Save Comment. So the second that you hit this button, it is marked as done inside of Canvas. So your professor knows you have officially completed this peer review. All right. So as for some general tips on peer review, some things to look at is, like I was saying, the prompt for the assignment. You can go back to the actual assignment inside your modules underneath your assignment and look there. My recommendation is to make like a little checklist. Change your prompt into a checklist and then kind of look at your peers' work to see if they hit every single box. Or you could look in the rubric right here because this is what the professor is going to be grading off of. Another tip that I have is whenever you're directly annotating on the paper with like those little pinpoint sections like I was showing you, it's best to give specific feedback. So say I wanted to say something about, let's read their first sentence. After graduating high school, students walk forward with hope, aspiration, and anticipation into society as a potential worker, soldier, or college scholar. So say I want to leave something and say something about their aspiration and anticipation. So I'm going to take the writer's original words. So I'm going to say like the words aspiration and anticipation. And I could just say what it makes me feel like as a reader. So it shows me or makes me feel like the topic at hand, the students are excited for what's to come. So what I did here is, like I said, take the language that the person who made this essay, and you're going to put it inside of your own response. That way it kind of narrows down where you want them to look to show where they've succeeded. And just remember to be nice to them as you are leaving comments. And as for other recommendations that I have is to use a lot of I statements. So if you can say, I was confused about, I would like to know more about, or like, I feel lost when, for example. So I'm going to write them down right here, just so you guys can visualize that. You can use some of those I statements, some things that you can do to try to summarize what they were saying in their paper. And you can take any notes of their key points, which might be the beginning of their paragraphs. It might be towards the end. But as long as you keep an eye out for that, you can give some kind of more I statements on whenever summarizing. You could say, like, the main message I got from reading your paper is, what stood out to me was, and so on. As for other ones, just if you want to specify on audience and stuff, if your professor wants you to kind of check that they are writing to a specific audience, one little sentence that I like to use is like that I imagine you writing to this type of person or this group of people. So that could also be helpful. But yeah. So that's how you would do a peer review. Just remember that there's always room for improvement, no matter which paper you are reading. Be detailed with your feedback, and instead of writing like revise above a sentence or something extremely vague, like I was saying, use their own language to show which section, or you could even highlight it. Like I was showing you, you can highlight aspiration, and you can highlight anticipation to show those are the specific words that led me to this emotion, or that shows in the rubric. So you can tie it to either of those, and make sure to give compliments for things that do work. So if they nail something in the rubric, then definitely point it out. Like, you really nailed your thesis statement right here, and you can leave it in the comments, and then you can save your comment, and that's all done. Alrighty, so that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys all, and good luck with your peer reviews.